Hi there, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me once again. So today we are looking at one of the classic purple range vintage Matchbox kits, and one that I think a lot of you will have remembered from years gone by. It's the Me262, the world's first jet fighter. It's got a great artwork on the front. I'm just going to zoom you in. You can see that it's another Roy Oxley work of genuine art. The aircraft here is attacking a fleet formation, I should say, flying fortresses, and it's obviously hit one already, and is well on the attack through this the sort of swarm of flying fortresses bombing over Germany. Now I have a confession to make, confession time. I have actually made this kit. You won't be surprised to hear, I'm sure many of you have as well. I actually made a recent copy that was in a really bashed box, and it was the Revel offering. It was the Matchbox offering, but it was in unusual colours. It wasn't in the regular colours, so it looked a bit odd in the collection. So I made it instead, and here it is. Ta-da! Don't expect too much, because you're not going to get it. It's the 262 that you see. It's on its original stand. So it's got the decal there on the base, as you can see. It's actually a nice model. It looks all nicely proportioned and everything. It's a bit gappy. Again, I just throw them together and try to leave it a bit Matchbox looking. I don't want it to look too perfect. I think that detracts from what it is, really. If I wanted a new model, you know, I've got the new Revel one, the 32nd scale. I could make that up if I had the room. But there's newer, better kits, obviously, than this in terms of technology and moulding, etc. So I don't go to any great lengths, but I did it's not too bad. I think the paint job's kind of reasonable, really. You know, I didn't do a speckled design on this one, which is kind of a bit of a shame. I think we've got a decal coming off there. So, whoops, it's a swastika, so that's no loss, is it, I suppose. But anyway, it's quite nice, and it serves a function in the sort of greater scheme of things. It doesn't actually sit in my cabinet list because we're a bit short of space. And I should add that I'm a big fan of the Me262. And I actually have the Tamiya one, the one that comes with the Kettenkrad towing it, and that's a really nice kit, I've got to say. So if you want a 262 and you haven't got much room, go for the 148 Tamiya. That's a really nice one. But anyway, back to the Matchbox, because this is what we're here to talk about today. So we will move my little attempt at building one over there. We'll have a look at the box. So I'll bring you in a bit more. We have, as usual, on the top of the box, little artwork that shows you what it will look like if you don't paint it. And this is where I had the problem with mine. It wasn't those colours. It was I can't remember now, but it was nothing like the normal colour scheme. So I thought it looked a bit weird and out of place. So that's why it got built. And it was in a bashed up box as well. This is not a bashed up box. It's a lovely one. PK-21 is the number. The date is 73. So it's still one of the first run of their production. But I don't think this was ever in a lift-off top box. This never came like that. Its first edition was the window box, like we see here. But we've got some adverts for their other products, of course. Gladiator, Harrier, Messerschmitt 109E, which you saw recently in the MiG-21. Which is interesting. That's not a kit I haven't got, actually. I did have one before. I was younger and I built it, but that's another story. On the back then, we've got choice of... what have we got here? Two choices. We've got the Unit Commando Novotny Akma, I should say, in October 44, or we've got the second Staffel Kampfgeschwader 51 Edelweiss at the Rhine airfield in November 44, which is the colours that mine is in, actually. I don't know if you noticed that. It's got the X on it. So mine's the Rhineland 262. So let's have a proper look in the box and see what we've got. Now this is a really nice one. It's actually a mint box, so I'm going to be very gentle with this. I don't want to do any damage. There we go. I think we got it first time. Right. There we go. Whoops, daisies. Whoops, daisies. There we go. So, over there. First of all, as per normal, we've got the generic ubiquitous Matchbox stand, which you've already seen it on, of course, in the case of mine, which is very, very good, and it's a nice one. Nice and fairly clean, a few scratches but nothing serious. All in one piece, which is always nice to see it all complete. Then we have got, still on its sprue, we have got the canopy, in great shape as well, this one. That's looking pretty good, I've got to say. Yeah, it's really nice. No problems there. It's nice it's still on the actual stub. We've got our instructions and decals. Go to the decals I think first. Here they are. So, some of these are hard to see, so white decals on a white line of paper, backing paper. Yeah, very, very simple rudimentary decals, but they look absolutely perfect. It looks like they were made yesterday, they're not even discoloured. Then we have the two sprues, and we've actually got the wing trying to depart from the sprue actually, so that might need a repair later. But we'll see what we got here now then. So, it says, the Me262 was the first jet fighter in the world to enter squadron service. It was then in 1944, having been taken 6 years to develop, the fighter version, the 262-1A, Schwalbe or Swallow, as we would call it. A second version of the 262A, Sturmvogel, Stormbird, adapted as a fighter bomber which carried bombs under the nose. By the end of the war, about 100 aircraft had been used in operations with considerable success. Had it not been for the insistence of developing the aircraft as a bomber, it could have been a formidable addition to German air power. And this was the problem, they were trying to use it as a ground attack bomber, to which it was never really suited, actually. Didn't have a targeting system, dropping bombs was a waste of time. But it was very fast. Now, the aircraft had one slight problem it did have, was that it tended to be a bit over speed, a bit like the Messerschmitt Comet, the rocket fighter, was the same problem. So it was great for doing a quick sort of hit and run on the bomber swarms, but it couldn't really dogfight as such because it didn't have the manoeuvrability, and it also used a lot of fuel. And once it was low on fuel and heading back to its airfield, that made it very vulnerable to the Mustangs that would come down and absolutely shoot them up, you know, savage them. But anyway, let's have a look at the back. So here we've got the usual small parts call outs of how to paint them. Yeah, your wheels and tyres, silver and black, same here for the front nose wheel, and this one needs a bit of weight in the nose because if you have it on the undercarriage, because it's a nose wheel, it's not a tail sitter, tricycle undercarriage. We've got pilot being painted up, we've got the intake cones on the engines and the exit cones, sorry, intake cones, exit cones at the top. You've got the aerial, you've got the interior of the cockpit, you've got your bomb. It's got some bombs in it, okay, very cool. So it's got, you can actually have the 1A fighter or the bomber version, and then you've got the wheel wells being painted. Bit of a guide on the stand and how to operate it, and then we'll have the basic colour call outs for Humbrol as per normal, and then we get into the proper instructions. So a bit closer. You've got your pilot going into his seat, obviously going into the two sides of the cockpit. One thing about Matchbox that isn't the clearest actually is just they put this arrow in. It means put weight in the nose. It doesn't tell you how much though, so it's a bit of a hit and miss thing. It could be clearer that's one thing they didn't do so well. Then you've got your Junkers Umo engines being built up, jet engines. Then you've got them being attached to the wing, and the wing outboard goes on. Then you put your cockpit canopy on and your radio aerial, bring in your wings and the bottom sort of centre inboard wing section is like a cover, and also your tail planes go in, so it looks like a 262 now. And it says for fighter bomber version, use the parts numbered, the bombs. So you've got the option of some bombs, pitot heads, undercarriage going together, fairly straightforward. It's interesting that they've sort of crammed that into the same section as everything else. Normally they have the construction of the gear is normally in a separate section. And of course, if you want to have the wheels up, as I did, then you will put the basically the covers on, as you can see here. So there we have it. Let's have a look at the actual parts then. I'm sure lots of you remember this one from days of old. I'm going to start with the wing section because it's a bit flimsy and it's trying to come off the sprue, and I'll be very gentle here. It's detached at the ends, both ends of the wing tip, where it attaches to the sprue. It's coming off. It's got that classic 262 shape. I've got to tell you that some raised panel lines. This is the early generation when they were doing that a little bit, I'm afraid. So a lot of these lines on the wing are raised, but not around the ailerons and the flaps. You've got your inserts not raised on the underside. It's kind of strange. They should have done it the way around. What are they thinking of? Anyway, there we go. Then we've got your bombs here. Zoom in a bit more. The moulding's nice, I've got to say. It's very nicely moulded. You've got your wheels and tyres there and there. Then you've got this centre section and the inboard part of the underside of the wing here, with your gear bay orifice for the gear bay. And then you've got your tailplanes and nose wheel and your gear bay doors. So all in all, very nice. It's just a bit of a shame about the oh yeah, and underneath you can see that the flaps and the ailerons are all sort of built in on the underside, and it's just the rest of the wing that's inserted as these inserts I mentioned here, which looks good. The other sprue feels a bit more robust. Don't think this is going to fall apart on us. So this one is grey plastic. Here we've got, yeah, and it's a traditional sort of half tail on each side, so it's two identical twin sort of sides, if you like, but left and right obviously. And then you've got your Umo engines, and they're nice, and they're not raised panelised. They've got some raised detail, which is correct actually for the grip, hand grips and things, but the rest of it is all recessed panel lines. Again here though, we have got a little bit of raised, these vertical lines are raised, you can feel them. That's a little bit annoying. Then you've got your Junkers Umo cone pipes, some exit pipes. You've got obviously the engines there, you've got the pilot figure and his seat in the middle. And then you also have these are the intake to the fan blades on the Junkers Umo here. You've got some gear doors, and that's kind of it. It's nice though, you know, and it went together a pitch, you know, but virtually no significant joins, or it wasn't. When place there was a gap was the wing root, which was my fault for not doing it properly, but there is a gap on both sides, so that's the one to watch out. If you do make it, and if that bothers you, make sure you put some filler at the wing root on top, because again they've got this sort of it's covered underneath, it's fine. But that's really rather a nice kit, I've got to say, and again the artwork really sold it to you. You know, the Roy Oxley jet fighters storming into the American B-17 formation really does. It reminds you of those, you know. Oh, by the way, I've just realised that I actually must have taken off with my thumb the swastika, because it's actually, oh, the other one's come off. Oh, you're in trouble here. Oh well, never mind. I'll get rid of that and put another one on it. Sure, we've got a spare one somewhere. I think that I made this in the days before I used micro set, and before you'll laugh now, before I used clear coat. So I don't think it was clear coated over the top, so that's why the decals are coming off, because it's not a very friendly surface. I don't think I used any micro set, and I didn't use any clear coat. So anyway, you did see the swastika was on there earlier, but it's gone now, both gone. Not to worry. As I was saying, like a lot of them, this is sold by its fantastic artwork, and you know, it's very evocative. You look at this image and it reminds you of those sort of the World at War sort of documentaries, where you see these aircraft appearing, and you see the panic it causes in the American bomber stream. It's a very nice bit of art, and it's a lovely kit. It's a lovely kit. So there we have it. Only gets marked down for the gaps at the wing root and the panel lines, but overall it goes together perfectly. Just be sure that when you make yours that you put some micro set on, or microsol, and make sure you clear coat to keep the decals on, because clearly I didn't do a good job, but not to worry. I shall give you a giggle. Anyway, thanks a lot for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the review. It's a smashing model, one of the ones that you always remember, and I wasn't going to include it in this run of reviews, and then I just remembered it. I thought, oh, it's got to be in that sequence with, you know, the Spitfires and Mustangs and Messerschmitts. It's got to be in there. If you did enjoy it, I mean, just to summarise, I give it about 8 out of 10. I hope you give me 10 out of 10. Give me a like, give us a thumbs up. We have got more videos coming soon. Please stay tuned for those. Share and subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to ding the notification bell, because that's how you get informed of the next video up and coming. And until the next one, I look forward to seeing you in the near future. In the meantime, look after yourselves. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.